Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UES Harvest Moon, watching the swirling blue-green marble of Kepler 442b grow larger on the view screen. Behind her flagship stretched a fleet of 37 vessels, battle cruisers, destroyers, and frigates, each one bristling with enough firepower to glass a continent. Yet today, they carried something far more precious than weapons. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen called from the communication station. "We're receiving the distress signal again. Same frequency, same message." Elena nodded grimly. For 3 weeks, human listening posts had intercepted the transmission, a desperate plea broadcast across multiple star systems in broken, machine-translated standard. The Zephyrians were starving. The war had ended 18 months ago. The Zephyrian collective had surrendered after their surprise attack on the Titan colonies failed spectacularly. Their grand invasion fleet reduced to scrap metal by humanity's superior tactics. The peace treaty was harsh but fair. No reparations but complete demilitarization and restricted space travel. What the treaty hadn't accounted for was the ecological disaster that followed. "Sir," Chen continued, "we're getting new data from the planetary scanners. The blight has spread to 70% of their agricultural zones. Preliminary estimates suggest, well, sir, they have maybe 6 weeks before mass starvation begins." Elena's jaw tightened. 6 weeks! The Zephyrians had a population of nearly 2 billion, and their rigid caste system meant that when food became scarce, entire social strata would simply be left to die. The proud warrior race that had once threatened human colonies was now facing extinction by fungus. "Ma'am!" came another voice, Commander Rodriguez from the engineering deck. "Final inventory report. We're carrying 2.4 million tons of processed grain, 800,000 tons of preserved proteins, and enough hydroponic equipment to establish sustainable farming for a population of 50 million. The medical bays are stocked with antifungal agents specifically engineered for Zephyrian biochemistry." Elena almost smiled at that last part. Dr. Sarah Kim had worked around the clock for 2 weeks, adapting human agricultural science to alien biology. When the United Earth Council had debated the response to the Zephyrian distress calls, some had advocated for measured humanitarian aid through neutral parties. Others had suggested that humanity's former enemies should solve their own problems. Admiral Hayes had cut through the political noise with typical human pragmatism. "We don't let people starve, not even people who tried to kill us. That's what separates us from them." So instead of a small relief convoy, humanity had responded with the largest mobilization of resources since the war itself. 37 warships converted into the galaxy's most heavily armed food distribution network. "Captain, we're being hailed," Chen reported. It's coming from the planet's surface. High-ranking Zephyrian by the encryption signature. On screen. The view screen flickered, revealing the chitinous features of a Zephyrian in ceremonial armor, though Elena noticed how loose the plates hung on what must have once been an impressive frame. The alien's compound eyes reflected exhaustion and something else. Shame. "I am Warcast Leader Thekvar," the creature spoke in heavily accented standard. I commanded the 3rd Assault Wing that attacked your Titan colonies." Elena felt the bridge grow quiet. Several of her crew had lost friends in that battle. "We expected your warships to arrive eventually," Thekvar continued. "We are prepared to face judgment. Our defense platforms are offline. Our military vessels scrapped according to treaty. We cannot resist." The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of distress. "But please, humans, our children are innocent. Our young are dying. If you must have vengeance, spare them. They never chose war." Elena stood slowly, feeling the weight of the moment. "Warcast Leader Thekvar. I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earthship Harvest Moon. We are not here for vengeance." The Zephyrian's compound eyes seemed to focus more intently. "Then why do you bring warships?" "Because," Elena said, "these are the only vessels we had that could carry enough food for your entire population." She gestured to Commander Rodriguez, who brought up a holographic display showing the fleet's cargo manifests. "Every ship in this fleet has been retrofitted as a cargo hauler. We've brought grain, protein, medicine, and farming equipment, enough to feed Kepler 442b for 6 months while your agriculture recovers." For a long moment, the alien said nothing. Then in a voice barely above a whisper, "Why?" Elena thought of her daughter back on Earth. of the human children who would grow up in a galaxy where two civilizations had chosen cooperation over conquest. Because when someone is hungry, you feed them. It doesn't matter if they're human, Zephyrian, or something else entirely. You feed them. Thekvar's entire body seemed to shudder. Warcast leader Thekvar hereby formally requests permission to surrender command of planetary defenses to human relief operations. Permission granted. Commander Rodriguez, begin deployment of cargo shuttles. Dr. Kim, your medical teams are cleared for planetary landing. Let's get these people fed. As the massive warships began disgorging their cargo of grain and hope, Elena reflected on the strange irony of it all. The Zephyrians had begged for grain, and humanity had answered with warships full of bread. Perhaps future historians would see this moment as the true end of the war. Not when the fighting stopped, but when former enemies chose to save rather than destroy. The Harvest Moon's engines hummed with the rhythm of life itself, carrying hope across the stars.